Maybe we should just start messaging Nike, Instagram, and like putting some pressure.
What if the biggest battle in tennis this season isn't happening on the court at all? What if it's happening behind the scenes, inside the headquarters of one of the world's biggest sports brands? On one side stands the world's #1 player, Aryna Sabalenka, a multiple Grand Slam champion with one of the strongest resumes in women's tennis. On the other stands Alex Eala, a young Filipina star whose career is only beginning but whose popularity is rising faster than almost anyone expected. The surprising part isn't just their rankings or results. It's the way Nike's relationship with each athlete has become one of the most talked about stories in tennis. The conversation started months ago when Aryna Sabalenka openly joked during a press conference that maybe fans should message Nike on Instagram and encourage the company to design better outfits. The comment was delivered with humor, but it immediately spread across social media. Fans debated whether she was simply having fun or expressing genuine frustration. Regardless of the intention, the moment reminded everyone that even the biggest stars sometimes want more attention from the brands they represent. Around the same time, another story was quietly developing thousands of miles away. Alex Eala wasn't making headlines because of fashion complaints. She was making headlines because of her rapid improvement on the court, and because Nike seemed increasingly interested in celebrating not only her tennis but also her Filipino identity. Instead of focusing only on performance, the partnership appeared to highlight culture, language, and heritage, giving fans something unique to connect with. For years, Nike has built campaigns around athletes who represent more than victories. Some athletes become symbols for entire countries, communities, or generations. That's why many tennis fans began paying attention whenever Alex appeared wearing equipment or accessories inspired by Filipino culture. It wasn't simply another sponsorship deal, it felt more personal. Then came Wimbledon and everything changed. Alex Eala arrived at the tournament carrying confidence after several impressive performances earlier in the season. Expectations were growing, but few people predicted just how much attention she would receive over the following 2 weeks. Match after match, she demonstrated maturity beyond her age. She stayed calm during pressure moments, trusted her aggressive game, and showed the kind of composure usually associated with far more experienced players. Every victory brought new fans. Every interview revealed another glimpse of her humble personality. Tennis analysts who had followed her junior career suddenly started talking about her as a genuine threat to established stars. The world was beginning to realize that Alex Eala was no longer just a promising prospect. She was becoming one of the brightest young names in women's tennis. While her performances attracted headlines, something else caught people's attention. Nike continued supporting her with details that reflected her background rather than treating her like just another athlete wearing standard apparel. Fans noticed carefully designed accessories and thoughtful touches that celebrated her roots. Whether intentional or not, those choices strengthened the emotional connection between Alex and her supporters. For Filipino fans, those moments meant far more than clothing. They represented visibility. Seeing one of their own competing on the biggest tennis stages while proudly embracing Filipino culture created a powerful sense of pride. Millions of viewers recognized that one athlete could introduce an entirely new audience to global tennis. From a business perspective, the opportunity was obvious. The Philippines is home to more than 100 million people, while millions more Filipinos live across North America, Europe, the Middle East, and other parts of Asia. That global community represents one of the most passionate audiences in sports. Every Alex Eala match generated enormous engagement online. Social media exploded with support after every victory, and local news outlets followed her journey almost point by point. Brands notice numbers like these. They pay attention to engagement, audience growth, merchandise demand, and cultural impact just as much as rankings. Winning tournaments certainly matters, but building emotional connections with millions of people can be equally valuable from a marketing standpoint. That doesn't mean Nike was choosing one player over another. Instead, it reflects a reality of modern sports marketing. Different athletes tell different stories. Sabalenka represents power, experience, and championship success. She has earned her place through years of consistency and major titles. Her aggressive style and fearless personality have made her one of the most recognizable players in women's tennis. Alex Eala represents something different. She represents possibility. She represents a new generation entering the sport from regions that have rarely produced Grand Slam contenders. Every milestone she reaches feels historic because it expands what young athletes across Southeast Asia believe is possible. Those two stories don't compete against each other, they simply connect with audiences in different ways. Still, the comparisons became impossible to ignore. Fans began discussing Nike's marketing choices on social media almost daily. Some pointed to Alex's customized accessories as evidence that the company saw tremendous long-term potential. Others argued that brands naturally create different campaigns for athletes depending on market opportunities and audience demographics. Meanwhile, Alex continued letting her tennis do the talking. After her memorable Wimbledon run ended, she returned home to a hero's welcome unlike anything she had experienced before. Crowds gathered to celebrate her achievements. Television stations covered every appearance. Government leaders praised her accomplishments. She wasn't being welcomed back only as a successful tennis player. She had become a source of national inspiration. That moment elevated her profile beyond sports. Within days, discussions about her future grew even louder. Could she break into the world's top 20? Could she win a WTA title before the end of the season? Could she become the first Filipina to make a Grand Slam semifinal? Every tournament suddenly carried enormous expectations. At the same time, attention shifted toward the upcoming North American hardcourt swing. Washington, Montreal, Cincinnati, and eventually the US Open. Those tournaments would provide the next opportunity for Alex to prove that Wimbledon wasn't simply a magical 2-week run. They would also offer another chance for fans to compare the journeys of two Nike athletes whose careers, while completely different, had unexpectedly become linked through one fascinating conversation. The next chapter may be the most important of Alex Eala's career. Breakthrough tournaments are exciting, but staying at the top is far more difficult than reaching it. Tennis history is filled with young players who enjoyed one unforgettable Grand Slam before disappearing from the spotlight. The real challenge begins after the headlines fade away. Every opponent studies your game. Every weakness becomes public. Every match carries greater expectations than the last. That is exactly where Alex finds herself today. Her next tournaments won't simply test her forehand or her serve. They will test her ability to handle pressure. Opponents who may have underestimated her before will now enter every match fully prepared. Coaches will spend hours analyzing her movement, her shot selection, and her patterns under pressure. Success has made her one of the most closely watched young players on the WTA Tour. For Nike, this is also an important moment. Sports brands don't just invest in athletes because they win matches. They invest because they believe those athletes can inspire millions of people over many years. Building a global sports icon takes patience, consistency, and authenticity. Alex has already shown that she possesses those qualities. Whether she's speaking to reporters, interacting with fans, or representing her country, she carries herself with maturity beyond her years. That authenticity is one of the reasons so many people have connected with her story. Meanwhile, Aryna Sabalenka remains exactly where every young player hopes to be someday, at the very top of women's tennis. Becoming world number one requires years of relentless work, incredible consistency, and the ability to perform under enormous pressure. No matter what conversations surround marketing campaigns or apparel, Sabalenka's achievements on the court speak for themselves. Grand Slam titles cannot be replaced by social media attention alone. That is why the comparison between these two athletes is so fascinating. One player represents established greatness. The other represents exciting potential. One has already collected major championships. The other is chasing the first of what fans hope will be many. Their careers are at completely different stages, yet both continue attracting worldwide attention for different reasons. As the North American hardcourt season begins, tennis fans have started imagining what could happen if their paths finally cross in a major tournament. A match between Sabalenka and Eala would immediately become one of the biggest stories of the event. Experience against youth, proven champion against rising star, power against creativity. Those are the kinds of matches that capture the imagination of sports fans everywhere. Alex understands that moments like these cannot become distractions. Every ranking point still matters. Every victory moves her closer to becoming a seeded player at Grand Slam tournaments. Every improvement increases her chances of competing deep into the second week of the biggest events in tennis. The encouraging sign is that her confidence appears stronger than ever. Instead of celebrating her Wimbledon breakthrough for months, she immediately turned her attention toward the next challenge. That mindset separates good players from great ones. Champions rarely spend much time looking backward. They appreciate their achievements, learn from their mistakes, and focus on the next opportunity. Her supporters have noticed the same thing. Whether she wins or loses, Alex consistently speaks about learning, improving, and continuing the journey. That attitude has earned respect not only from Filipino fans but from tennis followers around the world. She understands that lasting success isn't built on one spectacular tournament. It's built through steady progress over many seasons. Nike undoubtedly understands this as well. Global companies think in years, not weeks. They evaluate how athletes represent their values, communicate with audiences, and influence future generations. Those qualities often matter just as much as trophies. The coming months will provide valuable answers. Can Alex maintain the momentum she created at Wimbledon? Can she continue climbing